Oh, hey, what's this?
Hopefully I can get the next video out faster than I don't even know the last time I dropped a video. Hopefully it'll be sooner than last time. Oops. Hey. Yeah, so it's been like a year since I've made a video or uploaded on this channel. And it's not because I haven't wanted to, it's just been because I've had nothing to make a video on. So what happened in the last video, I said that I was really stoked because I was going to have this next video right after, and it was going to be like the best thing I've ever done, and it just completely fell through. I don't know why. Like, I tried talking to the guy, but it just didn't happen. And so after that fell through, I just kind of lost all my motivation to make another video. And even when I had an idea for another video, I would try to plan it and it would just fall through again. And it was just this continuous cycle of never being able to make the video that I wanted to. And since that fell through, I've gone to different events and such that I could have made a video on, or like the Caffeine and Octanes I go to every month, or Slammed Enough from Gatlinburg that I went to. I could have made a video on them. Actually, going to Slammed Enough in Tennessee, I planned on making a video, but since it was the first time I had ever been there, I decided to just hang out with my friends and experience it firsthand, and not kind of be locked behind a camera and not feel like I needed to make a video on that. But yeah, I just haven't had anything to make content on. You know, I haven't had like people's cars that I could do videos with, or my own car that I could make content with until now. Let me show you. Hopefully this angle isn't too bad, but this is my 2002 Toyota 4Runner SR5 four-wheel drive. I got it about almost 3 months ago now, and it's been a lot of fun. But leading up to this, I didn't have a car for a while because I had hit up so many people trying to buy this or that, and gosh, I was so close to buying an MR2. I was so close to buying an MR2. But I went through different dealers trying to buy this or that, and they'd always just sell it right before, or we just couldn't make a deal, or they just wouldn't respond. And I had found this 01 Toyota Tacoma that I was looking at just before this. I messaged this guy and he was like, sure, you can come check it out. And I was like, all right, when and where? And he just never responded. There were several instances kind of like that where people just don't respond, but whatever. But this person was the only one that I actually got to go through with, and I ended up with this. Originally, I was kind of leaning more towards getting a sedan or coupe so that I could kind of have that car life, I guess. And also the fuel economy would have been tremendously better, because when you're driving, man, I don't even know, 160 to 200 miles a week, maybe more than that. I don't really know. It's probably over 200. But when you're driving that, you want good fuel economy. And this isn't that. This isn't that. With my drive being gravel and just the middle of nowhere that I live, it kind of makes sense to have something a little bit higher, like a 4Runner. And also with having friends and such, it makes more sense to have 4 doors instead of 2. Even though if I could have gotten that MR2, I would have made the other 2 people walk. I do not care. I should have gotten the MR2. Gosh. And so I picked it up with about 230,000 miles, which isn't really a lot for a Toyota. I mean, these things can go to like 4 or 5. I've seen them on Facebook Marketplace with those kind of numbers, so I wasn't really scared to get this with that many miles. But it is a car with 200,000 miles, so maintenance and such does need to be done on it, and the person before wasn't perfect at that. I've already run into the water pump, all of that being corroded throughout the engine, so I had to get all that replaced. I had to get the timing belt replaced. I've had to get different sensors replaced here and there to get rid of check engine lights, which it actually does have one right now. And I bought an EGR valve solenoid thing to get rid of the engine light, and it delivered in Iowa. 13 hours away. How does that even happen? I don't know. Currently, I have a check-in tonight for that. So really nothing major, but there is one thing that's kind of major that I need to replace, but I'm gonna give you a walkthrough and we'll eventually hit it. I'll run you through. All right, so I'm gonna try to cover everything as best as I can, and we're gonna start from the outside going in. So I think the first thing we can kind of talk about is the paint. It's not perfect. I actually really like this deeper kind of, I don't know if it's deeper. It's not really maroon, but it's like a deeper red. I really like it, and I actually would like to keep it like this, but the paint's not perfect. As you can see with this hood, we've got sun damage, which is a common theme throughout the roof and really any part on the top. It's not pretty to look at, and we've got like deep little cuts and scratches. It's not perfect at all, but it's obviously not something that deterred me from buying this car, because it's just paint and I can always fix paint. Here's the roof, just a common, yeah, it's pretty bad. And on top of the fact that I plan on lifting this car and putting a roof rack, I'm not too terribly worried. I mean, this is the worst of the sun damage, but I'm not too terribly worried about it because no one's gonna see it because it's gonna be too high and it's gonna have a roof rack. This, on the other hand, I would like to paint eventually. I also would like to get a new hood, so whatever paint I get for the new hood, then I would use up here, but I don't know when that's gonna be because I'm not terribly concerned about it, but it's something I like to do eventually. And for me, one of the worst parts about this car are these wheels, because they are damaged. As you can see, they are real rough, but trust me, they're not going to stay for much longer. And also these wheels, apparently this is not compromised. This is just purely looks, I guess. It's just this black part that's come off. So I'm not worried about it, but they gotta go. This does not look good. And even after pointing out all of those little physical appearances that are wrong with it, it's not bad. It's really not that bad. It's actually mostly pretty good, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's just small little nitpicks that I would like to fix myself. Oh, Sybil, hey. So I think that's kind of everything that I can cover from an outside perspective. So let's move on to the inside, which is what really sold me on buying this particular 4Runner. I tried to find the cloth seats over the leather, because I personally think that the leather seats look really ugly in this Gen 4Runner. So I tried to find some cloth, and these came in a tan cloth. But what really sold me on buying this 4Runner was the fact that it has black accents on the more tan dash. A lot of 4Runners from this gen come in like the whole front deck. A lot of 4Runners that come in this gen just have a complete one color palette for the whole car, whereas with this one, it's got black and tan, so it doesn't look as ugly. Because me personally, I think the whole like tan this, tan that looks freaking hideous on these 4Runners. So found this and I was like, oh, perfect. This is what I want. The interior is honestly in really good shape. I need to replace this. Besides that, the interior is actually in solid shape. It's not perfect, but I think it's as close as I could get for a 230,000 mile car. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a 4-wheel drive, which was kind of the main selling point for me, because I found several 4-wheel drive 4Runners, but something about 4-wheel drive just ups the price by so much that it's not even reasonable. But with this one, I found it to be kind of reasonable, and it helped aid how much the person was asking for, because it was like, ooh, this does have 4-wheel drive. And trust me, I've used it a lot, and it definitely works. But moving on, there's not a whole lot to show in the rear, but just to reiterate like how good condition the interior is. I think the interior is honestly the thing that sold me the most. Again, I know this is broken, and also my cup holder, everyone that rides in the back has to tell me that my cup holder doesn't work. I know. I think that's everything that I can cover with my 2002 Toyota 4Runner. Before I close out on the walkthrough with the 4Runner, the main reason I'm making this video is because I really need to replace these brakes. Because with the 2002 Toyota 4Runner, instead of brake calipers like a normal car would have, it has brake drums. And with these brake drums, my car shakes like crazy because I'm assuming they're incredibly corroded. I mean, you can tell on the outside, but I'm gonna assume on the inside it's even worse than what it looks like on the outside. That's why I'm really making this video, is because right after this, my friend and I are going to go to my friend's dad's shop to use one of his lifts and replace both of these in the rear. I have all the parts ordered. They're all sitting in my room. Just need to put them on. But that's everything covering the 2002 Toyota 4Runner, and I guess I'm gonna go back to my room now. And we're back. So, hey, this is future me to stop you guys from having to listen to me ramble on about how blah, 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 blah. I don't even know, but basically I'm just talking about how hopefully in the future I can start getting motivation to make videos and not feel so stressed to put out certain videos. I don't even know, dude. Let's just go replace some brakes. Yeah! All right, it's probably 5 days or 6 days after I filmed the last thing. I'm exhausted because those brakes are really heavy, but I got them in the bag. So now we're gonna start the day and go get a tripod that I ordered to help video, pick up my friend, and pick up whatever else we might need. Let's get this day started. First package secured.
Second package acquired.
Hey, so I didn't really film a whole lot of us actually doing the rear brakes because this was at a mechanic shop, and I thought it was just going to be Alessandra and I and maybe our friend's dad doing it. But since it was at a mechanic shop and he had other jobs to do, I didn't want to waste any of his time, or at least as little as I could, and I didn't want to like try to be filming while I'm supposed to be helping doing the brakes. So I'm just going to talk over whatever clips I tried to snag here and there and explain what's going on. Obviously in this first clip, we just put the 4Runner on the lift and got it up to look at the brakes and such. And so we took the rear drums off to look at the rear brakes, which is what we had intended on replacing. But after getting there and explaining what my situation was with the car shaking from the front, like the steering wheel and the whole dash shaking, they said immediately that it wasn't the rear brakes, it was actually the fronts, which made sense to me, but whatever. And here's a look at the rear brakes. They actually look very good for what they are. And even the wheel cylinders we had planned on replacing just because we were in there, but there were no leaks from them, so we ended up not even replacing the wheel cylinders. Yeah, the rear brakes looked almost completely fine, but just to be sure, we did replace the shoes and not the drums, just to make it as cheap as possible. So we actually found out through the mechanic that was there that my rear brakes had been put on backwards by whoever was trying to do them before us. So we kind of ended up just letting the mechanic do the rear brakes completely because he had offered to and was willing to help, and I was like, all right. I mean, I'd rather have them done right than me trying to do whatever. Alessandra and I and our friend's dad ended up working on the front brakes by ourselves, and it was actually really fun. I quite enjoyed getting to work on the front brakes and learning how they worked firsthand. We did the front brake disc and the brake pads and the brake calipers. But while we're doing the front brakes, if you can see right here, this little thing right here, that is a sway bar, and your sway bar is not supposed to be doing that. Your sway bar is what stops your car from rolling or having any body roll and potentially rolling your entire car, and mine is dangling. So, and I didn't notice until Mr. Rob did. And so since he had noticed that, it was better off now to just go ahead and fix that to make them not as dangerous. And here's a clip of the new sway bar links we put in. This is what it's supposed to look like, and I don't know how. I've never noticed, and I've obviously not rolled, so since we were there, we just went ahead and replaced that for safety reasons. So they were disconnected. My sway bar links were there, but they were so rusted that we couldn't even get them out, so this is our mechanic having to literally saw them out of my car because they were so rusted. We got those replaced, and then after like an hour of trying to work on the rear brakes, we finally got the shoes replaced, and honestly it came out really well. There's no shaking from the brakes anymore. They work perfectly well until yesterday, actually. This is like 3 days after replacing the rear brakes, but yesterday I drove on my e-brake for 6 miles, and I just never realized until it started smelling horrid. I pulled over and was like, oh, my e-brake's on, like an idiot. I ended up just burning my new brake shoes, but honestly the damage wasn't as severe as I thought it was going to be.
So this is just a little clip of us on the roadside having to replace the drums, because the drums were just, as you can see, they were completely smoked. And I happened to have new drums in the back of my car, so I just threw them on and drove home. But now I need to clean out the old drums and get new shoes, but the new shoes are under warranty, so not really stressing about that. But yeah, that I again didn't get to film a whole lot of us doing the brakes because I didn't want to waste any more time than I had to of these mechanics. So out of respect, I just backed off. But our friend's dad is actually planning on getting his own lift so that we can use it and not have to be in the way of anyone. So when I do wheels, tires, and suspension, I can actually try to film all of it and not feel guilty of wasting anyone's time. So I'm looking forward to doing that in the future. But yeah, that's really all for this entire video. Hope y'all enjoyed watching. And maybe the next video, I'll just have like a little sit down and maybe talk about something car related. I don't know, something more fun, out of the ordinary of what I have done, and something that I can actually do and not have to try to stress about going to make timing for whatever. But hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, and I'm going to get another video out, and it's not going to take a year. I promise. You gotta keep me to it. It's not going to take that long. I'm actually very passionate about making videos right now, and I'm going to try my best to get the next video out as soon as I can. Maybe filming it next week. But until then, spread the love.